We're back, of course, talking some Final Fantasy. Square Enix was indeed at Gamescom Opening Night Live. Unfortunately, it wasn't for anything that we were hoping for. For starters, it was announced it's going to be a crossover in Monster Hunter Wilds with Final Fantasy XIV, which is pretty cool. I love to see this in general from gaming, crossovers between games, right? But I think in the past, they've done 14 collaborations with Monster Hunter, like maybe a different Monster Hunter game, if I'm not mistaken. But we've also seen a Monster Hunter crossover within Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, so there's already that kind of a working relationship. Not to mention, of course, we have Teruki Endo, who kind of perfected the battle system with the remake games, previously working on Monster Hunter World. So just kind of furthering that working relationship with Monster Hunter and Final Fantasy, which we like to see. You know, both very popular games, very popular brands. We love to see that for the Final Fantasy brand. In terms of this actual collaboration, it seems to be coming out late September. But also immediately after that, they announced that there's going to be a collaboration within Final Fantasy XIV with Monster Hunter Wilds. So these games are crossing over kind of at the same time. The Monster Hunter one is happening in late September, and the one within Final Fantasy XIV is happening, I believe, in October. Specifically early October, so they will be kind of close together, right? We don't know exactly when, late September, early October, each of these collaborations are happening, but pretty close at the same time. These are some pretty cool collaborations, right? If you're a fan of either of the games or both of them, maybe you've played a bunch of the Monster Hunter shit, but you've never hopped into 14, or vice versa. Maybe you play Final Fantasy XIV all the time, but you never hopped into the Monster Hunter games. Now's your opportunity. Now, for me personally, it's not really that exciting because I don't play either of these games. I have played 14 back in the day, and I played a lot of it. In a relatively short amount of time, I put, I think 100 hours into the game. And it was cool for what it was, but I think I started playing something else, or maybe that was around the time that, Remake was coming out or something. I don't exactly remember. It's been a while since I played it, but it was cool when I played it. And I am into MMO-style games, and to a fault, actually, when I get really into an MMO. It's kind of all I play, and I play a lot of it, dude. I get really into that shit, so I think that's part of why I always take, long breaks between, diving into an MMO. I'm sure one day I'll get into 14 again at some point, but it's just been a while now. I do wish we got more shit like this with non-FF14 stuff. I understand the crossover. They're live service games. They can reciprocate the crossover while we're seeing these happen at the same time. But I do wish we got more shit back in the day with Final Fantasy 15, where they crossover with Assassin's Creed, right? Both games got an event. I really never got to play the Assassin's Creed crossover within Final Fantasy 15, and I don't think you can these days. But I have played and talked about the Final Fantasy 15 shit you can do in Assassin's Creed Origins, which is one of my favorite kind of crossover things I've seen in a game. I only use that gear, the fucking camel chocobo, and the Ultima Blade, and the shield that you can get from Final Fantasy 15. That's the only shit I use the whole time. Imagine if we had some sort of update event crossover sort of thing for Rebirth with Monster Hunter or some shit, and there's an area you could go to fight bosses and get Monster Hunter gear for the characters and weapons and all kinds of cool shit, kind of like what they did with Ever Crisis. Just think of the Ever Crisis crossover in Rebirth. That shit would be cool as fuck. I don't know why they don't have more fun with the remake games, man. I know they want to complete the remake trilogy, and I can understand that and appreciate that, and we want to get to the third game as soon as possible, of course, within reason. We want them to take their time and make it good, of course. But we want to get to it as soon as we can. But I do wish they'd have a little more fun with these games and do, crossovers and DLCs and things like that. Those kinds of updates, right? Not necessarily straight up DLC. I mean, I do want that. I would love for a Vincent DLC before the third game. We've talked about that a lot on the channel. A lot of people don't want them to. A lot of people do want them to just make the third game. They're not interested in DLC. But a lot of people do want DLC. So it's kind of 50-50 or whatever, right? But even just putting the concept of DLC, literal DLC aside, I wish they would do stuff, some sort of crossover events. I think it'd be cool to have fun. Something to do post-game. Because right now, without them wanting to make a DLC for Rebirth, we're just kind of sitting here. There's really nothing to do. You have to play Ever Crisis if you wanted to do some sort of FF7 shit waiting for the third game. And actually, speaking of the Buster Sword in 16, why wasn't that crossover sort of thing reciprocated in Rebirth, right? That's what I'm kind of talking about with them not having fun with the remake project. Because why couldn't you get one of Clive's weapons for Cloud in Rebirth? Why wasn't that a thing? That would have been cool, right? I know it's a little more complicated because the weapons work differently in Remake and Rebirth versus 16, where it's just stats and it's cosmetic and that's it, right? There's no abilities on weapons. But you could just throw together some sort of one of Clive's iconic weapons from 16 and just throw some random abilities on it. It didn't have to be super complicated. It doesn't even have to be the best weapon, but just to be able to have one of Clive's swords on Cloud's back would have been pretty cool. But no. It's really kind of it for the Square Enix Final Fantasy Gamescom Opening Night Live shit that I'm aware of. The other thing that I did see from the event, because I did watch it, that isn't directly related to Square Enix or Final Fantasy or FF7 or anything like that, was that they announced that the English version of the upcoming Silent Hill F, the protagonist will be voiced by Suzie Yeung, who is the voice of Yuffie. Which I love to see. I like to see the FF7 cast doing other shit, and a lot of them have been doing voiceover work for quite a long time, like John Eric Bentley, and I think Eric Lindbeck have been doing video games and anime and shit for a long time. I know Britt Baron's done some other shit. I know Suzie Young's been doing it for at least a handful of years at this point. But like the fact that she's gonna be voicing the protagonist in the next Silent Hill game is pretty cool, man. It's a franchise I absolutely love. Silent Hill F does look at least promising. You know, the next really brand new Silent Hill game, because Silent Hill 2 Remake was a completely different game from the original in a lot of ways, right? But it was still a remake. So like for the first kind of brand new full Silent Hill game in quite a long time at this point, it does look pretty good. And the fact that it has the voice of Yuffie with it, that's great. That's pretty much it for the video, my dudes. I know we're kind of hopeful for something at Gamescom, but it's not the only gaming event we're looking forward to, right? It's just the first on the list. And obviously there's nothing there. We still have PAX West, I believe, at the end of the month, somewhere around the end of the month. I don't know how likely it is that, Remake Part 3 would be there, but that's a possibility. But we also have Tokyo Game Show at the end of September, and that's kind of the main thing we're looking forward to is the month of September, right? That's when the anniversary is happening for Ever Crisis. That's around the time that we're told we're supposed to get something. So it's just kind of a waiting game at this point, right? And they have been pretty quiet for a while, right? I talked about this with like the last video or one of the recent videos that like there for a long time we were getting a bunch of interviews, right? Where they were talking about Part 3 shit, talking about the high wind and all this other stuff. And that just kind of stopped out of nowhere. And the fact that they've gone silent for so long makes me think that we're going to get something at some point soon. Either way, that's the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Search in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, ffvii. That's it. Bye.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Rogaine, or leave it like Cobain.